Good morning, everyone. And welcome to today's Bodhi Day service in conjunction with the Shotsuki monthly memorial service. And Bodhi Day is the day of Prince Siddhartha's attainment of enlightenment. And do you remember the date? December 8th, right? So Bodhi Day is on December 8th. And today for Dharma School, I would like to share one of the episodes of a cartoon called Amida Man, which is a character created by some ministers in Japan. And my cousins, Tomoyuki and Saori, were part of the committee. And this comic is on my uncle's temple website, so I am sure it is okay to share this with you. So I will introduce some of the characters appears in this story. Okay, yeah, if white is okay, yeah. So, Amidame. So this is called Hozo. Hozo is the main character, and Hozo transforms to Amidamen by reciting the words of the Dharma. This is called Gashu. And Gashu is Gashu is the one who drives people act selfishly. So Gashu means self-attachment. And now this episode goes like this. There's a good encounter if you wear pink today. Oh, okay. I wonder why. No encounter. The other day, lucky item, red lipstick. Okay, hopefully this time. And again, she's alone. Why is this? I am doing just as fortune telling is instructing me, right? So she's getting mad. Monster, fortune star, more accurate fortune telling. Hozo saying, oh no. Make yourself the light. Make the Dharma the light. Amidame. Please be aware of the truth. Amida flash. Fortune telling, never be responsible of your life. Oh, I see. I had to make choices myself. Okay, I'm not going to rely on the fortune telling anymore. Well, there's good encounter in the direction of east. What? Actually, this is the end of the episode of Amidaman, but do you like it? I share the episode of Amidaman with Metta Padma class, which is a scout program, but the children likes it. Well, one of the episodes, they really liked it. One of the other episodes, they said, so. But hopefully they like this, you like this episode. So this episode of Amidaman teaches us how we should not rely on something like the fortune telling, okay? The words of Hozo recited when he becomes Amidaman, it is actually the words of Shakyamuni Buddha right before he passed away. So, this one. We should make ourselves as light, who is lighted by the light of wisdom of the Buddha. Okay? We should make ourselves as light, who is lighted by the wisdom of the Buddha. So, who makes the future of ourselves? Is it fortune telling? No, right? Who makes the future of ourselves? That is none other than ourselves, right? So guided by the light of wisdom of the Buddha, we live this life as fully as we can. But we often forget about, this truth and rely on the mind of self-attachment. That is why this episode ended with Gashu, attempting there's good encounter in the direction of the east. And the lady said, what? Right? So we constantly need to remind ourselves, and that is why coming to the temple is important. That's important things I should say one more time. Coming to the temple is really important, right? And having obutsudan, you know what obutsudan is, right? Home altar is important, right? That is to constantly remind ourselves how we should live with the Dharma, right? So anyway, I hope Dharma School students learned something from this Amidama episode. And now let's conclude the Dharma School talk with Gassho and Nembutsu. So please join me in Gassho. And if you can recite Nembutsu as loud as you can, I'm so happy, okay? Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namanda Butsu. Namanda. Good job, everybody. So now, I would like to share a Wasan poem written by Shinran Shogin, our founder. So please join me in Gassho. Please put your palms together. 安行浄土の将軍は唯物余物の知見なり苦境せることを虚空にして広大にして偏在なしと The adornments of the Pure Land of Peace are perceived only through the wisdom shared by Buddhas. That land is infinite like space, vast and without bounds. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namanda Butsu. Namanda Butsu. Namanda. So most of the local temples in Japan do not have regular Sunday service on Sundays. But there are betsu-inns in many major cities in Japan, and they have service regularly, not only Sunday service, but service every day. Since my father was Rimban of Kanazawa Betsu-in in Japan, I often attended the service on Sundays. And on the pillar of the Betsu-in, there was a slogan saying, "We deeply be aware of the law of causes and effect. We do not perform prayer for the worldly benefit, and we do not rely on the fortune-telling and superstitions." And this slogan, remained in my heart. And this is one of the reasons I shared one of the episodes of Amidamen regarding the fortune-telling today. But if you have been to Japan, you might know this, but almost all the TV stations shares fortune-tellings in the morning. It's like, it tells you what the lucky item to bring or, carry around. Sun sign astrology, which Chinese zodiacs and blood types you are. And, some people really follows the fortune-telling. If fortune-telling is enriching your life or that person's life, then I don't need to say, anything about it. But many times, people blame it on the, fortune-telling if it doesn't go well as you want it, right? And fortune-telling, people who follow the fortune-telling oftentimes do not take responsibility for one's own behavior. But Buddhism is the teaching of causes and conditions and asks us to be responsible for our own actions. Even in the Pure Land Buddhism, although we say that we will be born into the Pure Land, the realm of enlightenment, through the working of Amida Buddha, and nothing from our side is needed, we are responsible of our own actions. And the light of wisdom of Amida Buddha gives us courage to take responsibility for our own action and not to blame others. But our mind of self-attachment is so deep so that we rely on what we believe as right and refuse something we cannot comprehend or do not fit into our own frame of understanding. So, something like the teaching of the Pure Land is one of them. We try to comprehend within our head and say that the world after death, it cannot be true. But important thing about the teaching of the Pure Land is that not that we should comprehend the existence of the Pure Land in our head. What we try to comprehend in our head is what we put into the frame of our understanding. So it is like putting snorkel, and look around the ocean and saying, oh, I now know everything about the ocean. But what you see is the part of the ocean, right? So it's the same thing. Our daily understanding is what we are putting into our frame of understanding, right? And it is often using the eyes of self-attachment. But the Buddha, the awakened one, teaches us that from the eyes of the awakened one, end of life is not called death, but birth into the Pure Land, reaching the realm of enlightenment. So I consider myself as the student of the Buddha, so I follow the guidance of the Buddha. And what I comprehend is not so important. So this is what the Wasan poem I shared at the beginning of this talk is expressing. The adornments of the Pure Land are perceived only through the wisdom shared by Buddhas. It is the Buddha's field of perception, and it's not ours. Right? So anyway, I was watching a Japanese TV program the other day, and it was explaining the research called ring neurons in the Drosophila central complex act as a rheostat for sensory modulation of aging. I guess nobody thought, oh yeah, that research. Right? The title of the research doesn't make sense to me at all, okay? But the TV show was explaining that a particular species of flies feel stress by seeing other flies die. And the flies who witnessed the death of the other flies ages quickly than other flies who did not witness the death of the other flies. It's interesting, isn't it? So I thought this is really interesting. I felt like, is this mean the ministers who are often called for makuragyo and conduct funerals ages faster than the other people? The research is not about the ministers, but in some cases, it is true, isn't it? I sometimes hear that somebody who lost loved ones pass away right after the passing of the loved ones. And according to the research, seems like one of the neurons named as R2, not R2D2, but R2, and R4 are related to the aging through perceiving the death of others. The TV was saying that the experiment's target was flies. So I cannot be fit the result into human beings as is probably. But since we have some cases of our loved ones pass away one another, I thought this research might be true. Then some people might be thinking, why Sensei is talking about this kind of stuff, right? After watching the TV program, I thought about how long our masters from the past lived. You know, Shinran Shogin's teacher, Honen Shogin, lived until 80 years old. Okay? One of the disciples of Honen Shogin, Ryukan, he lived until 80. Shinran Shogin lived until 90 years old. And our 8th head priest, Rengyo Shogin, lived until 85 years old, to name just a few, right? 80 years old sounds young in modern, era. But considering the average lifespan of the time was about 20-something years old, they really had long life, right? And considering the result of the research on neurons, I thought that probably the person of Nembutsu do not feel much stress on others passing because of the existence of the Pure Land. And that is why they lived a long time. And of course, it is stressful to go through the loss of our loved ones, especially if they are so close to us. And there are differences of the levels of the stress a person of Nembutsu feel when they encounter the passing of others. But I thought maybe the teaching of the Pure Land reduced the stress when the person of Nembutsu encountered the passing of the loved ones. Rengyo Shogin had to experience separation from 4 wives and 7 children in his lifetime. So he experienced 11 separation from his loved ones in his lifetime. Some people might think that, this sensei said 4 wives? How many wives he had, right? But Rengyo Shogin married one lady, passed away. He married another lady, passed away. Then 3 and 4. So he had 5 wives in his lifetime and 27 children. Amazing, right? But, because of that, he had to experience so many separations in his lifetime. So he experienced 11 separation, but he lived until 85 years old, which is considered as a really long lifetime in his life, his age or his era. So this does not mean that following the Pure Land path is the way to the longevity, but it might be true. The following the Pure Land path reduces the stress of facing the passing of our loved ones. So again, the existence of the Pure Land cannot be comprehended by our wisdom, and that is okay. Even the master like Honen Shogin was asked if the Pure Land is true or not, and he responded as, let's go there and find out. So important thing is that we are Buddhas to be through the working of Amida Buddha, and this teaching supports us throughout our lives. So this is the most important thing. As sometimes we hear the question like, sensei, is the Pure Land true or not? But as Honen Shogin said, I don't know, right? But we can go there and find out. So we just have this teaching as core of our daily life and, consider or think as, okay, I'm going to Pure Land when I pass away, so I don't have to worry about it, right? So this is the most important part of the Pure Land teaching, right? But anyway, I talked about what I wanted to talk about today, so it might be here and there, but I hope this talk was helpful somehow. And I'd like to conclude my talk with a reading of On White Ashes, written by Rengyo Shogin. So I will read it in Japanese first and later in English. So please join me in gassho. Please put your palms together. それ人間の性なる相をつらつら感ずるに、おおよそ儚きものはこの世の始終中、幻のごとくなるいちごなり。さればいまだ漫才の銀人の受けたりということを聞かず、一生過ぎやすし、今に至って誰か100年の業態を保つべきや、我や先人や先、今日とも知らず明日とも知らず、遅れ先立つ人は元の雫末の梅雨よりも茂しと言えり。されば明日には幸願なって夕べには白骨となれる皆に。すでに無常の風来たりぬれば、すなわち二つの眼たちまちに閉じ、一つの息長く耐えぬれば、幸願虚しく返じて通りの装いを失いぬる時は、六神眷属集まって嘆き悲しめども、さらにその会あるべからず。さてしもあるべきことならねばとて、野外に送って弱の煙となし果てぬれば、ただ白骨の溝のこれり、哀れというもなかなか愚かなり。されば人間の儚きことは、老少不浄の境なれば、誰の人も早く御生の一大事を心にかけて、阿弥陀仏と深く頼み参らせて、念仏申すべきものなり。あなかしこあなかしこ。 On white ashes, in silently contemplating the transient nature of human existence, nothing is more fragile and fleeting in this world than the life of man. Thus, we have not heard of human life lasting for 1,000 years. Life passes swiftly, and few among men can maintain their form for even 100 years. Whether I go before others or others go before me, whether I be today or tomorrow, who is to know? Those who depart before us are as countless as the drops of dew. Though in the morning we may have radiant health, in the evening we may return to white ashes. When the winds of impermanence blow, our eyes are closed forever, and when the last breath leaves us, our face loses its color. Though loved ones gather and lament, everything is to no avail. The body is then sent to an open field and vanishes from this world with the smoke of cremation, leaving only the white ashes. Nothing is more real than this truth of life. The fragile nature of human existence underlies both the young and the old. Therefore, we must, one and all, turn to the teachings of the Buddha and awaken to the essence of life. By so understanding the meaning of death, we come to appreciate the meaning of this life, which is to be treasured because it is unrepeatable. By virtue of true compassion, let us realize the unexcelled value of this existence, and let us live together with gratitude in our hearts, humbly and respectfully. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namanda Butsu, Namanda Butsu.